hours.
So how were you calm?
I came to terms with the fact that there's no way out for me without getting maimed or killed in this situation. It was checkmate. I had to get into the front seat and out the front doors against 3 guys with weapons, and they didn't want me to get out of the front door.
So, I mean, I don't know. I just, I can't imagine how you could possibly stay calm and collected during that.
I knew that a lot of people get killed in that scenario, and I knew that if I could show them that I wasn't interested in fighting, or I thought if I wasn't interested in fighting, I was calm, that it would make things better. Turns out it did.
It did?
It did.
How so?
Made it better for me, mentally.
Okay.
I really came to terms with the fact, sat there thinking, well, I'm never going to see my dog again. I'm never going to see my dad again. What's Dad going to think? Are they ever going to find my body? It was a life-changing experience.
So they're trying to use your target card. Eventually, do they get to...
Well, so we pull into the back of an alley, and they are mad. They're not able to get money. They think I'm trying to screw them over, even though I'm telling them, "Mi es muy tranquilo." They throw me out of the car, literally kick me out of the car, throw me down on the ground, and the big guy has the gun now, and he's got it to my head, and he's about to kill me. And I start going nuts. I've been calm to this point, and I figure, well, if I'm going out, I'm going out. They're going to remember me. I start dropping F-bombs. My dad was a sailor. My grandfather was a sailor, and they would have been proud of the stuff that I was saying to these guys. Some insults were, dialect-specific, telling them, you're third world. You deserve to be third world. Your mom's third world. Going off on these guys. You're too stupid. I make more money in a week than you make in a year. Just going off.
So what is it? You think, well, if I'm going to die, then I'm just going to say whatever I want?
I wanted shock value.
How come?
I wanted to get their attention, to let them know, look, I'm not screwing with you. I've got a card with money on it. I don't care about the money. I know my banker real well. As soon as I tell him this, I'm getting the money back. Take the money. I don't care. This made the other 2 guys, not the big guy, the other 2 guys stop him. And they were not really fighting, but there was definitely a heated argument going on as to whether or not they're going to kill Whitey or not. They finally decide they're not going to, and they grabbed me almost by the scruff of the neck, it felt like, threw me back in the car, and beat me up one more time, said, if this doesn't work, you're dead. And I gave them the right card, and they gave me a pen. I wrote down my PIN number, and we started hitting up more banks.
And so you must have gone to a lot of banks in
Yes.
order to get them $350 if it's $10 a pop. And so, okay.
We were going to a lot of banks. Dozens of banks.
Okay. Now, Steve. So, of course, the burning question is, clearly you're here. Mm-hmm. You got out. You can't tell us what actually happened at that point.
I can tell you up to a certain point. I can tell you that they did start to get money when we went to the bank. We did start to get money. And they got really excited. They bought alcohol. They started high-fiving me. They started putting me in headlocks and rubbing my head. They were super, super stoked. The demeanor clearly changed. And they had so much money now that they're putting it in paper bags. Well, anyway, they got comfortable. 2 of them got out of the car to go to a bank. This had never happened before. Usually, one of them got out of the car, and the guy with the gun stayed in the car with the barrel pointed 2 feet from my head. That's usually how it happened. These guys are getting drunk now. It's been 2 hours since they bought the alcohol. They're really, really happy. 2 of them get out of the car, indicating they're comfortable, but I've lost track of the gun. For all I know, the big guy has it. They walk around to a bank, and they yell back at the big guy. They said, oh, yeah, there's another bank across the street. We're going to go to that one. Then there's another one over here. We'll come back. Here's my chance. I look around for any sort of weapon that I have, and the only thing I have is the pen. I'm looking everywhere. I take a big, deep breath. I put my hand on the back of the seat. This guy is not looking at me, and 2 of the guys are out of the car. I pull the pin up. I can very clearly see his jugular and his neck. And I stopped for a second. I took a big, deep breath, and I literally sat back and went, whoa, wait. I'm about to stab a citizen. I'm in a foreign country. I don't really speak the language. I have no clue where I am, and I'm going to be covered in blood. And keep in mind, this is happening in about 5 seconds. Well, when they came back out and said, oh, we're going to the next bank, and they went around the building, I'll tell you this. I made it back to the airport unharmed, and I made it back there with no kidnappers. Think about it from my perspective. He didn't want to get out of the car. I had to force him out of the car. I only had one weapon. He wasn't paying attention to me, and I had a target.
Huh. Okay. Actually, I feel like, we had talked about this before. I feel like you've shared more than I thought that you might. What has been your concern in telling kind of all the details?
My concern would be the political situation in Venezuela. Hugo Chavez wakes up every morning trying to figure out ways to kill us. He has a 6-hour program every weekend where he hijacks the TV networks and talks about how he's going to blow up America. It would be great for him to be able to talk about Whitey, who's bragging about harming a Venezuelan citizen, potentially, and try and leverage me to get extradited or make an example of me. I don't want anything to do with that. I really don't.
Wow. So you genuinely have that concern for your safety?
Yes, definitely concerned.
Wow. Okay. We're going to go ahead and take a break. Folks, you are listening to Interviews. I'm Abigail Mankey. Please stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Interviews. My guest today is Steve Huskey, who was kidnapped in Caracas, Venezuela. So you do get away. You get back to the U.S. How do you feel? I mean, are you tormented? Do you have nightmares? Are you okay? Do you feel safe? I mean, just take us through, even being back in the airport and then getting home. Just what is your state of mind?
A very good question. There's a whole bunch there. I guess I'll start with getting through the airport because chronologically that's first. Going back through the airport, I was terrified. I don't want to get thrown into Venezuelan jail. That's the last thing I want. And they might be looking for me. I mean, legitimately, I could get thrown in jail in Venezuela. So on my way back through the airport, it was very tense. I was just trying to keep my head down. When I got back to the U.S., I felt a very good sign of relief, almost one where you, as cheesy as it sounds, want to bend down and kiss the ground, almost that cheesy. It changed my life in that I was motivated towards certain goals. And I got back and said, I need to smell the roses. I need to stop and spend time with my family. I need to tell people how I feel about them. Lovey, lovey, touchy, touchy, rainbows and butterflies.
Did you do those things?
I sure did. Yeah, I called everybody I knew, told them the story, and said, hey, I love you. I'm always here for you. For example, my grandparents. Wanted to make sure that people were aware because it was quite clear to me it could happen at any moment, and none of us really know when.
Are you freaked out inside?
To some degree. There were several nights when I got back that I didn't sleep very well. My main regret was things had really taken a turn. I mean, these guys were getting drunk. They were offering me alcohol. They were high-fiving me. They had a nickname for me, USA. They're calling it USA. USA. The guys gave me a nickname, but by the same token, I only had one chance, and I needed to get free. And I might not ever get that chance again. So a lot of regret went back and forth there. And still to this day, if I sit in bed and think about it, my adrenaline starts going, and I'll be up for hours.
Is that right?
Oh, yeah.
Is your adrenaline going now?
A little bit. Somewhat, yeah.
Yeah.